Ukrainians really are facing a dark winter, and then those extreme cold temperatures as the wartime winter approaches. But there are so many organizations trying to bring warmth and light to Ukrainians in need before Christmas, and that includes UNICEF. It is delivering blankets and fuel, winter clothing, and first aid kits to all of those who need it most. Matter of fact, UNICEF has already brought $20 million worth of supplies to the country, but needs a lot more funding to keep helping those affected by this war. Douglas Hageman, UNICEF's deputy representative in Ukraine, joining me for more. And you were watching that piece too, weren't you? And just the music, the singing, the poetry, it is absolutely amazing to see the resilience and of these Ukrainian people. And when you're older, right, you've been through a lot. And so you look at those people that Inez met, and she goes inside their homes and sees how they're living. It's so inspiring.
It's an incredibly inspiring country at an incredibly important time. I'm honored to be working with UNICEF and to be able to contribute here, but there is so much to do.
Well, let's talk about that.
Yeah,
you know, it's going to be a harsh winter, right? And critical energy infrastructure is under attack every single day across Ukraine. So what do you find that people on the ground need the most right now? How are you focusing your resources, Douglas?
Well, if you would permit me, I'd like to actually give you a couple of numbers that puts this in perspective. Currently, almost every child in Ukraine, this is just about 7 million children, is affected by the power outages. They're not having sustained access to electricity, heating, water, schooling, and it's devastating to the kids. They're definitely resilient, but they will have limits. Of the war-torn eastern portion of the country, 6.5 million internally displaced people, and of those, 1.2 million are children. And to put that into context, that's equivalent to the whole population of San Diego or Dallas. So this isn't a minor issue. This is incredible. So what are we doing for winterization here? If you mentioned $20 million in supplies. That's for some very specific things that we've done, but we're providing winter clothing. Over 100,000 sets currently being distributed. As you showed from your film earlier, we've had snow on the ground here in Kyiv for the past month. So it's cold. When I go home from work tonight, I probably won't have power. I don't know. And people are dealing with it. So we've also provided safe drinking water to over 4 million people. 1 million people have received additional water, sanitation, and hygiene supplies. We've reached over almost 3 million children and caregivers with mental health and psychosocial support. And this is really, really critical support. Remember, we mentioned the impact on schooling. They're not able to do online schooling as readily because of the power outages. They haven't had in-person schooling for the last 10 months for the most part. Some locations, yes, but most not. And so now we've got a perfect storm of health issues because people cramming into crowded shelters. You know, the seasonal viruses, influenza things, those are going to be rampant here soon. And the impact of mental health on children is going to be another challenge that we have to deal with for a long time. So
how can those help, Douglas? How can, people are going to be watching this, and look, everyone wants to help the kids, right? And you think about 7 million children. And when I've traveled to third world countries, you see in certain areas where missionaries have brought books and pencils and just to keep kids reading and try to move that education forward. Would that be helpful? Are you going to be able to put, some of this money into just homeschooling opportunities for these kids?
So we spend a lot of work on schooling supplies. We're distributing, for example, towards the next week, a number of backpacks loaded with art and educational supplies, tablets, painting, things like this. you know, it's important to keep kids' minds engaged and keep them focused, but it's also important to let them be kids. So as you mentioned, how can people help? And let me say that this crisis is unique in some ways to other humanitarian crises, where more than 70% of our funds have come from individual givers. So what I would answer to that is, however people are giving, I encourage them to keep giving. But certainly UNICEF USA is a location and a way that people can contribute funds in whatever capacity they have that will help us going into 2023.
Well, we love seeing those boxes come in of all those deliveries. Douglas Hageman, it's amazing what UNICEF does around the world, and it's amazing what you're doing for the Ukrainians, particularly the children. Thank you so much for your time. Hope you have a beautiful holiday.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.